stand. All right. So laying down, relaxing. Go ahead and take some nice deep breaths. They don't have to be any particular type of breathing pattern as we get started. Just nice and deep, relaxing your body. So just in case you don't know me, because this was a free class, and so we have some sharing of the link and some people popping on that I may not know. My name is Alexi, and I have been practicing and teaching Pilates for almost 20 years. Former professional dancer, and Pilates has just helped me tremendously with strength and toning and the health of my body. So we're going to start with some breathing patterns. All I want you to do to begin is just take an inhale through the nose and an exhale through the mouth. That's it. Inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your mouth, getting used to that pattern of breath. And I will say, if you are newer to Pilates, breath is probably the last thing someone ever masters. So we'll go through it when we're doing nothing else and we'll get really specific. But when you're actually going through the movement of the class, just remembering to breathe is the most important part. And I'll keep reminding you. But if your breath isn't perfect, it's okay. It comes with time. So as we continue to breathe, in through the nose, out through the mouth, I just want you to take your hands to the sides of your rib cage. The one hand on either side. And as you inhale, you're going to think about expanding your ribs out into your hands. And then as you exhale, just feel the two halves of the rib cage drawing inward towards your spine. So on that inhale, you're expanding sideways. And on that exhale, you're drawing inward. So we're beginning to incorporate those core muscles into our breath, expansion and contraction. So your expansion is going to continue to happen primarily up in that rib cage, maybe down into the waist a little bit. But your contraction, we want to travel the entire core. So slide your hands down a little lower. Your thumbs are still on your ribs, but maybe your fingers are at your waist now. And as you inhale, feel that side-to-side expansion. And then as you exhale, feel the ribs pulling in, but also feel that waist cinching. So inhaling and expanding, and exhaling and drawing inward. So just so you know, if you're new to me, I keep my phone with me and on so that people can text me if they're having trouble getting into the Zoom or if they get booted off midway. So I apologize for the little dings that you might hear from time to time, but it's all new and this is the best way to do it. Let's slide those hands down a little lower. So your hands are now resting right in between your hip bones in that lower abdominal region. Inhale, you're still expanding primarily in that rib cage. But I want you to feel that exhale travel all the way down into the low core. So inhaling, expanding, and exhaling, coming all the way in and down. So when we focus on that exhale, traveling from the chest all the way to the pelvis, we know we're incorporating all of the muscles of the core. We're just going to take a couple more of those deep, deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. How about one more? And then we're going to set breath aside for just a moment. So relax your arms at your sides. If you don't already have your knees bent and your feet flat, go ahead and place them that way. And we're just going to do a little cat-cow. So you're going to inhale, drop your tailbone toward the floor, lift your ribs. It's a little arch of your spine. And then exhale, push your low back into the floor, tip your pelvis upward toward the ceiling. Inhale, a little arch. Exhale, scoop and hollow round your spine. Inhale, arch. Exhale, scoop and hollow. So keep that movement going and feel what each position feels like. Feel what that arch feels like. Feel what that rounded position feels like. Neither one is neutral spine, which we'll talk about in a second. So this will be the last time we will arch our back in this class, hopefully. If we do arch, we're going to know to correct it. The tucking, the rounding, is called your C curve, and that we may come to from time to time. So let's do one more. Let's arch one more time, inhaling, and let's exhale one more time, rounding, and then just see if you can find middle ground where you don't feel arched and you don't feel rounded. And then put your thumbs right on your lower ribs and your middle fingers right on your hip bone points. And you should be able to line the two up on the same plane. If you're arched, your ribs will be higher. If you're tucked, your hips will be higher. So this is our neutral, this middle ground, and this is where we're going to stay for the time being. So your arms can come back to your sides, and we're going to take those legs up to what we call tabletop. So 90 at the knee, 90 at the hip. And you're going to take an inhale, tapping one foot toward the floor, and an exhale to lift back up. Other leg, inhale, tap, exhale, lift. So I'm going to try to flow pretty quickly through the exercises because we do have this 30 minutes. If you like, for this exercise, you can place your hands back between the hip bones. And when you exhale, remember, exhale all the way through your core into that pelvis. And try to think of using that contraction of the low abdominals to lift your leg back up. Keep that flow going. Inhaling on the tap down, exhaling to return to the top. Let's do one more set. So we'll go one more time on each leg, keeping the ribs and the hips in line with each other. And then we're going to hold on to this tabletop position. Your arms are going to go wide like you're making a T with your body. Press your shoulder blades into the floor. And then inhale, lower half twist. Big exhale to come back up. We're going the other way. Inhale, twist. Big exhale to come back up. If you can, keep that 90-degree bend at the knee and the hip. And just rotate from your waist and your rib cage region. Inhaling on the twist, exhaling as you return. You want to think about both shoulder blades staying attached to the floor. So when your legs go one way, that opposing shoulder blade presses down. And we're just going to go 2 more times in each direction. Big exhale. So we're going 1 more time each way. And then we're going to keep this tabletop position, and your arms are just going to come back into your sides. Before we build our ab series, I want you to think about, in this neutral position, your lower ribs and your pelvis being 2 anchors that are always connected to the floor. That's going to keep you in that neutral. So thinking about that neutral spine, let's take the right leg, reach it out in front of us. And as the right leg pulls in, the left leg reaches. And you're going to take a full breath every time you switch your legs. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. So I don't know how much experience some of you have with Pilates. I know with others. So we're going to build every exercise. I just had to mute a couple of mics. So you're flowing, one leg reaching, one leg bending. If you feel like it, reach those hands towards your knees and float the head and shoulders up off the floor, looking forward at your legs. So you still have those lower ribs anchored to the floor. Your pelvis is still anchored, but the upper rib cage is giving a little hover. Just an option, not necessarily harder, just different. Let's do one more set. And then we're going to pull the legs back to tabletop and bring the head to the floor. So this is where that pelvic anchor is really important. You're going to extend your legs up toward the ceiling, but not so high that your pelvis lifts or not so straight. So you may have to keep a bend in your knees. We're going to scissor the legs, one up, one down. Full breath for every switch. So inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And as much as you can, you're trying to breathe all the way through your core. Remember, it takes a lot of practice. So if it's happening more in your ribs today, that's okay. So thinking about those anchor points, reach the hands toward the knees just as an option. Float the head and shoulders. Again, looking forward rather than up. It takes the strain out of the neck. And if you start to feel gripping in your hips, maybe soften out your knees just a little bit. It helps. And really focus that breath into that low core. We're going to do 2 more sets. Full breath every time you switch. And then head is going to come down and feet are going to come down. So double check that neutral spine. Line it up, find your anchors, hands go behind your head, nice and wide with the elbows. We're going to take a full breath to lift the head and shoulders up off the floor. And then we inhale, center, exhale, little twist. Inhale, center, exhale, little twist. Inhale and exhale. Keeping the hips really nice and quiet and thinking of rotating through your rib cage from the waist. Hands are just gently supporting your head. So you have a couple of add-on options here if you want them. Option 1 is just to bring those legs to tabletop and hold them there. It'll challenge your lower abdominals just a little more. And then option 2 is to add that bicycle leg to your crisscross. So you pause in the center and then rotate. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Remember, take breaks as often as you need them. We have 2 more exercises in this series. One more time each way. And then when you're ready, everything comes back down, just so that we can reset that neutral spine. So once you have your anchors in place, legs come back up to tabletop. And now we're going both legs together. They're going to reach out on an inhale, pull in on the exhale. Inhale, reach, rib cage stays glued down. Exhale, pull in, pelvis stays glued down. So you kind of have to gauge where you're reaching. If this bothers your back, you're going to reach more upright. If you need the challenge in your core, you are going to reach lower and focus on gluing those ribs to the floor. We're going to do one more like this, and then we're going to build. So we hold the tabletop, and the fingertips slightly touch the backs of the thighs. As your legs go out, your arms are going to sweep wide and over your head. And then as you come in, they sweep wide and down. Inhale, reach out. Exhale, come in. Inhale, reach out. Exhale, come in. I just knocked over my foam holder. We have 2 more. And then we have 1 more option. It's just an option. Hands are behind the thighs. You can float your head and shoulders and keep them up the whole time. And we inhale, sweep and reach. Exhale, pull it in. Inhale, sweep and reach. Exhale, pull it in. Just 4 more. I'm going to take my head back to the mat because that's what my body's asking for today. Pick the variation that works best for you. Let's do 2 more. Inhaling as we reach. Exhaling as we pull in. Last one. Legs are going to stay in tabletop. Head is going to come down. For this last exercise, I'm actually going to have you use your fingers. So your thumbs are going to come to your low ribs. Your middle fingers are going to come to your hip bone points. In neutral, feel the distance, the space between them. As you extend your legs, don't let that space change. Don't let it shorten, even if that means you're keeping your knees soft. Now we're going to lower both legs, keeping the distance between the ribs and the hips exactly the same. And then we're going to lift both legs. Again, not allowing that distance to change. Inhale as you lower, big exhale as you lift. And range of motion is dependent on your ability to keep that neutral spine and to listen to your back in particular. So it could be small, could be big. Inhale 2 more times on the way down. Exhale as you come up, just 1 more. And then we're gonna hug those knees up into the chest and maybe take a nice little rock side to side. So when you're ready, we're gonna rock it up and we're gonna roll over onto our stomachs. So you're coming all the way down on the mat or on the floor, and your hands are gonna be underneath your forehead. I'm gonna have to lift my head to talk to you a little bit, but you can go ahead and lay your head down. Legs are about hip distance apart. Knees and thighs are turned straight down toward the floor. And you're just gonna take your tailbone and reach it toward the wall behind you. Just enough to feel your abdominals slightly lift, but not so much that you feel your seat really squeezing and contracting. That's our neutral. You could line up your ribs and hips and you'd find that they're aligned in that position. We're gonna take the head, the hands, and the chest. Little tiny hover up off the floor, and then control it back down. Inhaling as you hover to lift, exhaling as you return to the floor. So you're always shooting that tailbone toward the wall behind you. And you're focusing on lifting from the shoulder blade region of the back. So that mid back. If you feel it tremendously in your low back, first adjust the tailbone, really reach it behind you. And second, go a little smaller. It's meant to be that mid back that works. We're gonna do about 3 more. And then we're gonna add a couple of variations to this exercise. So we have 1 more. So stay in that neutral. You're gonna lift center, and then you're gonna twist to one side. 1 elbow down, 1 up. Come back to center, still lifted, and then lower all the way to the floor. Lift straight up, twist to the other side. Come back to center, still lifted, and then lower to the floor. So we inhale up, exhale, twist, inhale, center, exhale, down. Inhale up, exhale, twist, inhale, center, exhale, down. 1 more time each way like this. Still shooting that tailbone behind you. Now you have the option of keeping that rhythm, or if you want to, lift up, find that hover, and then just rotate. Exhale, twist, inhale, center. Exhale, twist, inhale, center. Never coming down, really focusing on that length in the low back, lifting right where those shoulder blades are, back of the rib cage. Exhale, twist, inhale, center. 2 more sets. You could be lowering in between twists like we did before. Last set. And then release. Bring those hands underneath your shoulders and just press up and back and find a child's pose. Hips to heels, arms reaching out in front. My back's a little tight this morning, so I'm not going too far down, but if you have that capability to really fold, feel free to do that. Take a couple nice deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. We're gonna go for a forearm plank, and I'm gonna give you some options and variations as we go through this. Take breaks when you need them. So you're gonna start with your elbows right underneath your shoulders, and you wanna make sure that your chest is sitting right in between those shoulders. So we don't wanna drop the chest down, nor do we wanna lift it up and round the back. Once you have that nice long neutral spine, go ahead and walk your knees back until you are able, with your shoulders over your elbows, to make your spine parallel to the floor. So this is our starting position. We're just going to take that deep inhale through the nose, deep exhale through the mouth. Deep inhale through the nose, deep exhale through the mouth. Option 2, only if you want it. Lower your feet, curl your toes under, and hover your knees. Your spine is still parallel to the floor. And we're still taking that inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Tailbone is reaching toward the wall behind. Crown of the head reaching toward the wall in front. Last option, only if you want it. On the inhale, rock forward on your toes. Shoulders will shift beyond your elbows. Exhale, rock right back to where you started. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, shift back. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, shift back. Keep going any variation that you like or take a break. And what you want to make sure of is that that chest is still sitting right in between those shoulders. It's not dropping, not rounding. We're going to do 2 more. Any variation you prefer, or a little child's pose. Last one. And knees drop to the floor, and let's rock it back. Find that child's pose. Just going to check our time here. We have about 10 more minutes. 30 minutes is not a lot. Keeping it simple, focusing on the breath. Let's roll it up. We're going to do some side lying to finish up. So if you have a mat, the easiest thing to do is line yourself up along the back edge of your mat when you lay down. Doesn't matter which side you lay down on. We're going to switch, so we'll do both. If you don't have a mat, when you lie down, all you want to do is make sure you're in line, ear to shoulder to the center of the rib cage to the center of the hip, and then hips to heels. So when you get down on the floor, let yourself relax for a second and just feel how your ribs drop down into the floor and your core is not active in that position. So take a moment to lift your rib cage up just a little bit. It should gently activate your core, and you could line up the ribs with the hips the way we've done in both positions previously. Then you're going to take your top leg, extend it, and bring it slightly out in front of you. So we're keeping this lift in the center, and we're just going to take the top leg, lift it up, and hover. Lift up and hover. I'm going to have you inhale on the way up and exhale on the way down. Inhale up, exhale down. Knee is pointing straight ahead. So this is a parallel leg rather than a turned out leg. Turnout's not wrong, it's just different. And we're working the outer part of the hip. So if you're newer to Pilates, yes, Pilates is all about the core, but the pelvis, the glutes, the hips, they're part of that core. So we want to make sure we work them as well. So you're inhaling on the way up and then exhaling deep into your core on the way down and kind of slowing down that gravitational pull. So we're going to do 2 more of these. And then you're going to take that leg and lower it just until it's parallel to the floor. And you're going to draw a small circle with the leg. Once you get the habit of the circle, you want to make sure your torso and your hips are completely still. So the only thing that's moving right now is that leg drawing that circle. And it's a full breath for every circle that you draw. You could always have your hand in front of your chest as a little support. Make sure you're still lifted through your center. Core is still active. And let's reverse the direction of the circle. Take it the other way. Breathing nice and easy as you draw that circle. Full breath. So lifted in that center. Should be starting to feel some of that heat now. If you need to take a break, take a break. Last circle. And then bring the legs together. So both knees are bent, feet are in line with your hips. We're going to take that top leg, open it up, and then close it. So hip bones are pointing straight ahead. Hips themselves don't move. It's just that leg rotating open and then closing. We're actually going to inhale on the opening because it's not too hard to feel this part, and exhale as we close. And when you close, I want you to imagine you have like a squishy ball right in between the knees, and you're going to squeeze it, try to flatten it. Or you could think about having a balloon and you're going to try to pop that balloon. We're going to do 2 more like this, and then I'm going to give you a couple of variations. So you can stay here if you like, or you can come up onto your forearm, elbow under shoulder, pressing the ground away so you're still nice and lifted here. And then we just go back to that clamshell. Slightly smaller range of motion, but a little bit more activation in that core, and of course a little bit of upper body as well. So we're still inhaling as we press open, exhaling as we close, thinking about squeezing that imaginary balloon. So we have 2 more like this, and then we get to build 1 more time if you want to. Last one. So you could stay here, you could lay down, or you can lift the hips, coming into a variation on your side plank. And then we go back to that clamshell. 1 more time, squeezing to open, exhaling to close. So you're lifting your hips up toward the ceiling, pressing through that elbow away from the ground. And now you really have core activation on that underside, plus you're working both legs a little bit more. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. We're going to do 5 more. Feel free to go to any variation you like. Hips down up on the forearm or laying all the way down on the floor. I think we have 2 more. And release. And we're going to go ahead and flip around to the other side. So again, this is just kind of a taste. If we had a full class, we would do more in all of these positions. Stretch that spine out nice and long. Line everything up. Make sure your feet are in line with your hips, not forward. And then lift those ribs. Gently activate that core. Top leg extends out and it comes slightly in front so you can see it with your eyes. And we inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. When you lift that leg up, really try to avoid letting your ribs drop. It's the natural thing to want to do. So we have a little counter lift through the core. If you need to exhale on the way up to assist that, there is no wrong way to breathe with these side lying exercises, which is really awesome. So you will feel the second side a little faster. If you need a break, feel free to take it. It's totally okay. We have 2 more of these. Lower that leg just until it's parallel to the floor, and then start to draw that half circle, or not half circle, full circle. Remember, this is less about how big your circle is and more about can you circle the leg while keeping your hips and your torso completely still. Full breath for every circle. That's where the core comes in with that stillness. I'm definitely feeling this side faster. When you're ready, go ahead and reverse the direction of your circle. Keep that full breath going. So if you ever need a break, the easiest way to take a quick one is to come down and kind of pound out the muscles gently and then come back in. For some reason, that tapping helps release tension quickly. We have just a few more. And then this leg is going to lower and bend. We're still lifted through our center and we find that clamshell. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. If that imagery of the ball or the balloon helps you really engage the inner leg as you close, then make sure you're incorporating that. And also remember that exhale is going all the way down into that low core, which is going to help engage the inner leg. Still lifted through that center. We're going to do about 4 more of these. Find that squeeze at the top, but keep those hips facing forward. Last 2. Last 1. And then only an option to come onto that bottom forearm Elbow underneath the shoulder, press the ground away, connect and lift, and let's open and close. Inhale and exhale. The one thing to know about Pilates is it's all about creating length and strength at the same time. Let's do about 3 more of these here. So not a lot of stretching is generally required. We'll do a little bit for the hips because that's what we tend to feel the most. But if you need to stretch more after class, you're definitely welcome to do that. I encourage you. If you want to come up into that variation on side plank, lift those hips and clamshell. Inhale as you open. Exhale as you close. Remember that goal to really lift those hips up toward the ceiling. That's what's going to activate the core and that bottom hip. Press the earth away with that bottom forearm so that shoulder is always moving down away from the ear. We have 5 more. Exhaling on that closure. 3 more. 1 more. And release. Go ahead and come all the way down onto your back. And we're going to take the right ankle and cross it over the left thigh. Open up that right leg, and you'll feel the stretch on the outer hip. You might just stay here for a breath or 2, and then if it feels comfortable, you can bring your legs up in towards your chest, but it's not necessary. It's just an option. Breathe deep exhales to help release the tension in those muscles. And then come on down and we'll switch sides. So we cross left ankle over right thigh. Take a minute to really open up that left leg. Maybe even use some fingers to help it open up. And stay here, or you can bring both legs up into the chest and just breathe. And when you're ready, release. Let's rock it up to seated. Any way of sitting that is comfortable for you. Sit up nice and tall, lengthen out that spine, and just go ahead and close your eyes. So the one other place where we tend sometimes to hold tension in Pilates is in the neck. I'm gonna have you drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. And just breathe. Again, this is just a taste of some of the exercises that we expand upon in our regular classes. So if you liked it and you would be interested in joining, classes are just $4 live or $2 for a recording. We would love to welcome you into our community. Let's come up and over. Left ear toward left shoulder. And I'd be happy to give you any information. You can always just shoot me a message or an email. And then lift the head, sitting up nice and tall. Bring the chin straight toward the chest. Roll the shoulders back and down. And then lift the head. Keep the eyes closed, and we're just going to practice that breath one more time. So if you want to bring the hands to the sides of your rib cage, and inhale, expand sideways. And then on the exhale, contract all the way from your rib cage down into that low, low core. Inhale, expand. Exhale, draw it all in. We're going to do that 3 more times. And I'll just share with you that in addition to this being great for your core and strengthening your muscles, this is also a really good way to relieve stress. This breath pattern, something we can all use right now. So let's take one more. Big, big inhale, expanding. Big exhale, drawing inward. And thank you for spending 30 minutes with me. I'm going to go ahead and unmute in case any of you have any questions. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. Oh, some of you didn't get unmuted. Sorry about that. Any questions, thoughts?
Nope, it was great.
Good. I don't know why. Some of you I can't unmute, maybe because you muted yourselves. But if you have any questions, any thoughts, just reach out to me. And I hope you guys have a beautiful Friday. Thank you.
Thank you.